Hey everyone, my name is John Venus. Welcome back to another video. So I've been following along this channel for a while. You know that about a year and a half ago, I suffered from a lower back injury. I had a herniated disc between my L4 and L5. A lot of you guys have been asking what I've been doing to fix my herniated disc. Stick around because I'm gonna give you a lot of amazing tips today. And before that, please let me know if you suffer from any injuries or have suffered from any injuries like this in the past, and let us know how you were able to overcome that. So many of us are struggling with this, so please take 1 second and just write your comment and let us know so we can help each other out. Okay then, let's get started. So the first thing that I like to make sure is that I find some time in the morning to do these stretches. If I just make sure that I do it first thing in the morning, I know that I'm not going to skip it later on in the day. So the first stretch that you're seeing me do here is the hamstring wall stretch, and this was recommended to me by a osteopath. One of the things that I noticed by doing this stretch consistently was that, in the beginning, one of my legs was about 2 inches longer than the other. And the more I did this consistently, my hips straightened out and my legs became of equal length. Whether that's only because of this stretch or the combination of everything else. But when you're doing this stretch, you want to make sure that your butt is as close to the wall as possible, and that when you're stretching, you try to make it more difficult and more challenging by pointing your toes down. I remember not being able to do this when I started out. So if you can't have your butt completely into the wall in the beginning, just use some space between the wall and your butt to start off, whatever you can in the beginning, and then just advance and progress from there. So this is always the first stretch that I start off in the morning, and I do this for about 3 to 5 minutes. And for the rest of the stretches, I prefer doing it just for a minute each. You can see my son Noah is very enthusiastic about yoga and stretching as well. So a lot of times he joins in on the sessions, and we have some bonding time together. In every stretch, you'll also notice me breathing deeply, in with my nose and out with my mouth. And I kind of try to combine this stretching routine in the morning with a meditation / breathwork practice. So I really try to get as much oxygen into my system as possible, just because it makes me feel a lot more relaxed and focused at the task at hand. Oh, and by the way, before we go forward, if you're finding this video extremely helpful, it will mean the world, I mean it, the world, if you could click the like button to let me know that you're enjoying this. Thank you guys. So the next one that I do right afterwards is a side lunge with a twist, which was also recommended to me by a osteopath. And this is a deep stretch for your hip flexors, which is at the front of your hip. And yeah, you really feel it really well when you do this. Does take a little bit of time to get the technique right so you can feel the right muscles stretching. But once you get it, it's just an amazing stretch. And it also helps strengthen your core. The next stretch that I go to is a downward dog that goes into a cobra pose. So the downward dog that you're seeing here first, stretches many things like your hands, your hamstrings, shoulders, calves, and arches of the foot as well. So it's a really, really good stretch. I am not flexible enough to do this properly. This is a pose that I just started integrating a couple weeks back, so I'm not really good at it yet. But after 20 seconds, I move right down to the cobra pose, which stretches your chest, shoulders, abs. And this was a pose that I did not do at first and was not recommended by a lot of chiropractors, physical therapists, osteopaths, because it can aggravate your lower back injuries. So I did not do this in the first couple of months, but eventually I was able to do it without any pain or very minimal amounts of pain. So now it's one of my favorite poses. So I alternate between the downward dog for 20 seconds and then the cobra pose for 20 seconds and do 3 sets of each, so that each of them equal to 1 minute. Then the next one I move on to is the high lunge with a twist. Also a very new addition to my stretching routine. Although this has not been a major player in my back recovery, I still find it an amazing addition right now, and it feels really good doing this. Then we move on to the figure 4 pose, as they call it, which stretches the outer hip and your glutes. And this one I was absolutely terrible at first, could not do it. But as all stretches, you do progress pretty quickly. And you know, glutes are something that I always forgot to stretch in the past, but I did notice added benefits to my back health once I started stretching you know, other muscles. So I do one side for 1 minute and then I switch sides. And if you want to make this more challenging as you progress, or as you get deeper into the stretch, you just pull your knees towards you to make that stretch on your glutes a little bit more difficult. Then right afterwards, I rest for a little bit with a child's pose, which, you know, doesn't really do much in terms of stretching. It just gently stretches the hips a little bit, the thighs, your ankles, and I just focus on my breathing and you know, keeping that meditative state. And then I do a cat to cow pose, which, you know, was the first stretch that I did when I had my herniated disc issue. It was the only stretch that I could do that didn't completely make my back hurt in an excruciating way. So I don't do this too often anymore, but it really is great if you're in a lot of pain right now. So I definitely recommend this one because it gently stimulates the spine, your lower back. And then another very important part of my stretching routine for lower back health is dead hangs. Makes everything feel a lot better afterwards. I don't always do this right after my other stretching. Sometimes I do space them out and do the dead hangs later on in the day rather than doing everything in one go. But dead hangs, as well as the next thing that I'm going to show you now, which is just, you know, sitting in a squatting position. So the aim with this one is, you know, to open up everything from your hips to your ankles, lower back, you know, your shoulders. And you can see that I'm not able to, you know, keep my back completely straight, as is the goal with this exercise. And I've been doing this for a year, which means that my flexibility was extremely poor in this area, and it still is, but I'm working on it every single day. And hopefully I'll be able to straighten up my back completely when doing this. This is kind of a natural position that, you know, us as kids used to, you know, rest at. I remember when I visited Bali, a lot of workers would actually, you know, still use this squatting resting position. And yeah, I was just in awe of their flexibility. I remember trying to do it right after I saw it. I had no chance. And I think most of us that are just, you know, sitting on chairs have a very small chance of executing this properly. Really important to do this to combat and counteract all the negative effects of all our, you know, slouching and sitting in chairs. Super important, so get started as soon as possible because this is going to be extremely important no matter if you have back pain or any existing pains. This is just going to prevent a lot of issues down the road. Now I want to really focus on the mental aspect of things here because I truly believe that no matter how much stretching you do, no matter the tactics, the creams, the gels you use, it will not have a good effect or the desired effect unless you really have a good mindset and really put your intentions to work in order to fix your issues and your physical ailments. I think that meditation, breath work, and these things played a much bigger role in my recovery than the stretches did. Of course, the stretches make me feel a lot better and a lot more limber, which is amazing and extremely important. But the mind aspect of things is the most important. You have to get to the point where you remove the stress from your life. You have to get to the point where you are at peace with yourself, with your situation. You know, I was depressed for a certain amount of time because of the injury, because I couldn't lift weights and do all the things that I love to do. And that got me into a negative spiral that made everything a lot worse. And once I conquered my mind and focused on these techniques and, you know, stepped up my meditation and breath work game, everything just fell into place. And as long as I have a healthy mindset and a positive outlook, I find that my back pain just stays completely away. And you know, I've kept this you know, mindfulness practice up along with the stretching, and I've just seen amazing benefits. And a lot of people have been recommending John E. Sarno's book that talks about you know, the relationship between your mind and physical back pain. I haven't read it personally, but I know that it talks about similar things to what I'm talking about here. And I know that this stuff is extremely important and that it works. So definitely check out that book to learn more about the relationship between your mind and your body. So that was my daily stretching routine. I hope that this gave you some ideas. And again, please share your tips, your experience in the comment section below, because we can all benefit from exchanging information. So please do that, don't forget. And most importantly, if you enjoy, fitness, lifestyle, and just healthy living videos, don't forget to share this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more amazing videos on this topic. So thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I'll see you very soon. Peace out.